Hello and welcome to the Car Nerd Talks, where today I'm going to be talking again about Lamborghini, and tomorrow we're going to have the Miuras, followed by, I believe, the Huracan, yes. So if you enjoy these videos and if you enjoy Lamborghini, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you enjoy reading, check out my link in the description for Drive Tribe. But otherwise, let's jump into this incredible car. So if you aren't aware of the Miura, then you really need to check this out, because the Miura is the car that essentially set up Lamborghini to be what it is today. So in the 1960s, the early 1960s, Lamborghini was producing Grand Tours, and only Grand Tours, because basically that's all Ferruccio Lamborghini enjoyed. He was a big fan before that of the Ferrari 250 GT, which, if you haven't understood the reason he started Lamborghini, he was to piss off Enzo Ferrari. And if you want to see how that all began, check out this video here. But in the meantime, essentially, he had decided that he wanted to stick with Grand Tours. He thought racing road cars were kind of pointless, so he didn't want to go there. However, three of his engineers, led by a guy called Paolo Stanzani, wanted to prove to him that that was wrong. So they, in the middle of the night, started building a race road car with a V12 engine that would eventually become the Miura. Now they took this car, and in the middle of the night they essentially started building away, and they just built a chassis with a traversing mounted engine in the back, which essentially became the Miura base. When they showed this to Ferruccio Lamborghini, he was so excited that he thought to himself, this would at the very least be a good marketing opportunity, and therefore that they should put it into production, if only for marketing. They went to the 1965 Turin Auto Show and showed off the car. They only showed it off with the chassis and with the engine in the back. They didn't actually have a body for this. So therefore they essentially just showed off a chassis with an engine, and people were so intrigued that they actually managed to sell units of the car without a final body on it. The looks of this car are stunning, and they should be, because the guy who designed this car is a legend nowadays, but back then he was just a young designer working for a little company in Italy called Bertone, and Lamborghini had gone to them before to get some designs done. So this time a guy called Marcello Gandini, who would go on to be one of the most legendary designers in history of cars, took over designing this car, and he made it look stunning. There's some eyelashes around the pop-up headlamps, which are quite famous. The whole sleek design of the car, and it wraps very tightly around the engine at the back. The lights at the back are incredible, and this kind of blew everything that Ferrari had been doing at the time out of the water. He made it incredible. One of the famous things about this car is the doors. So nowadays Lambo is famous for its Lambo doors, which go upwards, but this car was the first to have some strange looking doors on the car. If you open the doors wide on the Lamborghini Miura, you will see that they look like the horns of a bull. They are incredible. And this was one of the interesting pieces of design in this car. The design of the car was finished only days before it had to go and show at the 1966 Geneva Auto Show, and they had misread the instructions from the engineers, or the engineers had given the wrong ones. We're not really sure, but essentially the body didn't fit around the engine. So much like in the Turin Auto Show years before, when Ferruccio Lamborghini had showed off the 350 GTV, there was no engine in the back, and instead what they had done is locked the back so no one could open it, filled it with ballast so that the weight would be right, and essentially hid the engine from sight of the public. It didn't matter, the public loved this thing anyway. The engine in this car was the same 3.9 litre engine that Bizzarini had designed for the 350 GTV that was used in the 350 GT and the 400 GT. And that makes sense, because it essentially was the engine that the designers and the engineers had lying around when they were building the prototype of this car. However, they had bored it out to 3.9 litres instead of 3.5 and upped it from 270 brake horsepower to 345 brake horsepower, which made this a much more powerful engine. But there was one more trick up Stanzani and his engineers team. which was the Mini was released about 4 years earlier to their development in-house of this, and the Mini had been the one to make the transverse engine really famous, and if you want to learn more about that, click up here. The reason the transverse engine made sense for the Mini was it got more space inside the cabin and everything worked in the middle. And they ran the differentials through the sump and all these different things to do that. Stanzani's team would do essentially the same thing, except put the engine in the mid-section of the car, right behind the driver where the back seats would normally be on another car, and use the transversal setup to keep the car light and sleek. And this was incredible. It gave the car almost a 50-50 weight distribution and made it really discerning on the track to Ferrari. As I said before, this is the car that really put Lamborghini on the map. It made them incredibly famous. And thankfully it did, because that V12 engine, the mid-engine layout, and the crazy ridiculous styling is the thing that makes Lamborghini famous ever since. They used this same essential layout, except turning the engine back to a longitudinal platform all the way up to the Murcielago in 2010, and that's when they switched the engine out. But in terms of styling, they still hint back to the Miura. This car was the one that set everything up, and the only reason for it being replaced in 1974 is because something even more ridiculous came along, which is the Countach. And the only reason the Countach came along was because in 1970, things like the Ferrari Dino were out, which started to look a bit more 70s and ridiculous, and Ferruccio Lamborghini wanted something more radical, and he wouldn't have thought about something like this if it wasn't for the Miura. So we have Stanzani and his team to thank. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you didn't enjoy this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you like reading things, check out the description below where you can find the drive trial link. Thank you so much for watching.